So, what if the next big leap in computing wasn't made of silicon and wires, but of actual living brain cells? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci fi movie, but it's happening in labs right now, and it could completely change how we think about technology and maybe even life itself.
For our entire lives, we've pretty much taken one thing for granted. Our computers, our phones, everything just keeps getting faster, smaller, and more powerful year after year. It's been the engine driving our modern world. But that engine, well, it's starting to sputter.
This incredible pace was all thanks to something called Moore's Law. You've probably heard of it. It's the simple but powerful observation that the number of tiny transistors we can cram onto a microchip doubles roughly every 2 years. That's what's given us this consistent, exponential explosion in computing power. But here's the thing. That relentless march of progress is slamming headfirst into a wall. And that wall is made of physics. See, you can only shrink these transistors so small before you're literally trying to build them with just a few atoms. We're hitting the physical limit. The age of easy wins is over. Moore's law is, well, it's dying.
And that creates a huge problem, which leads to an even bigger question. If the silicon chip is what got us here, what in the world is going to power the next 50 years of innovation? So, what comes after silicon?
Well, to answer that, scientists are turning to the most complex, most efficient, and let's face it, the most powerful computer we know of. They're looking at that 3-pound universe you carry around inside your head, the human brain. And this has sparked this completely radical new field called organoid intelligence, or OI for short. And the idea is every bit as wild as it sounds. We're talking about a new kind of biocomputing, where scientists actually grow tiny 3D models of the brain. They call them organoids, and they physically connect them to computer hardware. So, why would we do this? Well, think about it like this. A silicon chip thinks in ones and zeros. It's perfectly structured, very rigid. It's also incredibly power-hungry. Biology, on the other hand, is a whole different ballgame. It's kind of messy, it's adaptive, and its neurons process information in this massively parallel way that's almost fluid. It learns, and it does all of this while being unbelievably energy efficient. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds incredibly theoretical, right? Something for the distant future. But it's not. It's already been done in one of the most amazing experiments I've ever heard of. So, picture this. Scientists took about 800,000 human brain cells and put them in a petri dish. They then hooked this little mini brain up to a computer. And then they made it play video game. Not some fancy new game, but an absolute classic from the 70s, Pong. The way it worked was just ingenious. The computer sent electrical signals to the cells, which basically told them, hey, the ball is here. The neurons, in response, would fire their own electrical pulses. And those pulses were then fed back into the game to control the paddle. The brain cells in their own little world were literally playing Pong. And here's the part that just blows my mind. This little cluster of cells in a dish, it learned how to play the game in just 5 minutes. That's faster than some dedicated AI programs. They weren't programmed to play. They learned. They figured out the rules of their little universe and adapted. So that whole DishBrain experiment proved it could be done. But the real reason this is so revolutionary, the reason this is a potential game changer, comes down to 2 things: scale and efficiency. This isn't just about a new kind of chip. It's a completely new category of computing. First up, let's talk about the energy gap. The difference here is it's staggering. Your brain, right now, is running on about 20 watts of power. A supercomputer, trying to do even a tiny fraction of what your brain does, can need megawatts. That's millions of watts. To put that into perspective for you, your brain, maybe the most complex object in the known universe, operates on the same amount of power as a dim light bulb. The supercomputers we build to try and copy it, they need their own dedicated power plants. Biology is it's on a completely different level of efficiency. So that efficiency advantage is already mind-bending, right? But it doesn't even stop there. The potential for actually storing information is where things get even crazier. Okay, think about the entire internet. All the videos, all the websites, all the data. Right now, it's stored in these massive energy-guzzling data centers. Some of them are the size of small cities. But using techniques like DNA storage, using the same molecule that codes for all life, it's theoretically possible to store every last byte of that data inside something the size of a shoebox.
So, okay, we have a technology that is just incredibly powerful and unbelievably efficient. But as we get closer and closer to actually building these things, we start to run into some really deep, really human questions. We're moving beyond engineering here and into the realm of philosophy.
Let's just pause on this for a second. We are talking about building our computers from the exact same material that creates human thought, our memories, our feelings, consciousness itself.
And that forces us to confront this final, kind of haunting question. If we create a computer that's complex enough, a machine made from living, learning neurons, at what point does it stop being just a machine? At what point does it become alive? That's a question we might all have to answer, and maybe sooner than we think.